Is going on, everybody? My name is Jesse, aka your very own one and only Chi-Town Smark, and today we are going to talk about Miss Tessa Blanchard. Tessa Blanchard is a highly controversial figure in the wrestling community today. She just won at TNA Genesis last night. She beat a departing Jordan Grace, a very professional Jordan Grace, I want to add. But we're going to get into that in a second. First and foremost, I'm going to continue doing this because I cannot believe the support, the amount of support that this community has shown this channel over the last couple of videos. I would like to keep that momentum going. I would like to be able to consistently put out more videos for you guys to enjoy. If you want to help support that, I know you hear it all the time. I get it. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I am now seeing that the things that everyone are asking of you guys, they matter for the YouTube algorithm, for our content to get out to see more people, to have the message that we put into these videos get out there. Hit that thumbs up. Very importantly as well, probably equally as important, leave a comment below. I would love to have a discussion about why you agree with what I said, and even if you disagree with what I said, I'm open to it. It helps the algorithm. Share it with others. Subscribe to the channel. There are ways to financially support the channel. They are below. I'm sure that you can find it. I'm sure that you're familiar with it. I don't want to shove that, but I would genuinely appreciate the free support that any one of you watching right now are able to do, and that's leave a comment, thumbs up, and subscribe. Share it to your social media platforms. Share it to a friend. That helps the channel more than anyone who does not do content creation would ever know. So I do appreciate it. The support has been insane, and I love you guys for it. Thank you so much. Let's get into it. Recently, Tessa Blanchard has done an interview with Sportskeeda Wrestle Binge. All right, this was before her match with Jordan Grace at Genesis, okay? And it kind of struck a nerve with me. If you are unfamiliar with why, because I've actually seen this on social media quite a few times, there are some people who are completely unaware of what happened with this whole Tessa Blanchard situation. So we're going to break down a little bit of it, all right, and try to catch everyone up to speed. We're going to go over this interview in part and give my thoughts on it, what it sounded like to me personally, what I feel like the community is thinking about Tessa Blanchard today, and what can be done to fix it going forward. I think that's the most important thing here. I'm not about keeping someone down. I'm about lifting them up. But they need to be willing to get better. They need to be willing to accept what they did and to move on from it. It just doesn't happen magically because you went away and came back. We'll get into it though. This all started back in 2020. Remember that pandemic era? Well, that was fun, right? That was fun. So Tessa Blanchard was slated to become the very first female world champion of then Impact Wrestling. There was no problem. She was hot in Impact. She had a match with Sami Callihan. Fantastic match. He put her through the ringer, beat the living shit out of her, and she got up and kept fighting, and she looked like she belonged in that match. She performed extremely well, proving that she is great in that ring. I'm not going to take that from her because that's a fact. She's incredible at what she does. But her heat started to come at her own doing when she took to social media and decided to post for some reason on social media that if women stuck together, something along those lines, if women stuck together and supported each other, imagine where they could be. She was basically calling out the women of the pro wrestling community to support her in her journey to become the first world champion, not women's world champion, men, women champion. And she was asking for support. And it turns out that post was pretty much the absolute downfall of her career. Now, it wasn't the post. It was, according to the ones who responded to it, the audacity of her posting what she did. And it immediately caught fire right away. Chelsea Green was leading the charge when she replied and said, "You've consistently put down, bullied, and belittled countless female workers, including me. Is that support?" Chelsea Green is not the biggest female name in pro wrestling. She's not the best out there. She doesn't have the biggest community. But you know what Chelsea Green is? She's very respected in this community. And the fans and the community have absolutely no reason whatsoever to believe that she would just flat out lie on anyone. But she would not just flat out lie on Tessa Blanchard for absolutely no reason. That wasn't the end of it. Allison Kay, also with a pretty damning tweet, she says, "Remember when you spat in a black woman's face and called her the N-word in Japan? Was that you supporting women? The audacity of this tweet." How do you read just those two posts? How do you read just those two posts and think that these two women are lying? Okay, well, who was the supposed woman that got spit in? La Rosa Del Negra. She is on record saying that it actually happened. She did not deny it. She did not stay out of it. She did not no comment it. She confirmed that it happened. So now you have three women who are attacking your integrity and everything about you, but it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. Chelsea Green replied to that post by Allison Kay with a GIF that says, "I remember that." Gigi Dolan replied. She says, "Remember publicly putting me down on Twitter last year for something that didn't involve you whatsoever, then continuing to drag my name to other people for it." Pepperidge Farm remembers, "You should probably delete this tweet." That was Gigi Dolan's reply. It continues. Rebel says, I like to think people change over time, but I can confirm the bad behavior and non-supportive attitude in Japan. I was there." Shauna chimed in, says, "She did more nasty stuff in Japan. Never forget. Practice what you preach, sweetheart. I stand by and you stand by, it was La Rosa Negra. She's a fun and loving person who would never disrespect anyone. Much love to you, Rosa. Allison Kay comes back again. The reason I've never said anything until now is because it wasn't my story to tell. I made it clear to La Rosa that I had her back, and today was the day she gave me permission. You can't force someone to come forward, but you can be there for them. That is supporting women. The list goes on and on and on. Renee Michelle. It goes on and on and on. I personally get confirmation that not confirmation, but someone reached out to my DMs who witnessed it, told me that yes, it did happen. They saw it. Let's get into it. Let's get into the interview and let's see what Tessa Blanchard had to say about this situation.
Now, coming into this, obviously, there was a lot of reaction to you being there. And there was a lot of people in that locker room. And obviously, Jordynne Grace, who you're going to be in the ring with, had some very much resentment to the idea of you being there. How did you address that as a performer and enter that situation? And did you know some of that would be there? And obviously, does that amplify the situation with this match coming up here on January 19th?
Well, first and foremost, I think that a lot of people, you could tell them that the sky is green and that they would believe it. There's a lot of stories and there's a lot of things out there that I read it and I'm like, this came out of left field. Like, I don't even know where they cooked this up. There's some stories where there's like 20% truth to something, and then some things that got completely twisted into telephone, telewrestler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as the locker room, there's some people who might feel, everyone's going to feel something. They're going to think something.
Okay. Right away off the bat, it feels like she is already trying to downplay and dance around the importance of this entire situation. Everyone's going to feel a certain way. Yeah. If half of what these women are saying is true, it would absolutely make you feel a certain way. People hear stories. Tell a wrestler, tell a friend, tell a gram. I get the old saying. I get that. But she never flat out just came out and denied. You know, if someone came to me or you or anyone that you know with common sense and said something this damning to your reputation, and you are a public figure. You are a public figure. Tessa Blanchard's income and her employment is directly affected by the public's perception of her. So for her to try to minimize and downplay what people think about her is probably not a good idea. All right? This is not like some person who lives a private life, punches a clock 9 to 5, and then someone says they're this or they're that and they don't like them. Don't matter. Think what you want, do what you want. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to feed my family. I'm going to do what I have to do, and I'm going to come home. You guys can think what you want about me. That's not this. That's not this. If this path continues for her, she will not be successful in this business. If things are not corrected, if wrongs are not righted, she is directly affected by it. So her nonchalantness about this interview is already disturbing. I would be extremely upset if someone said these things about me that were complete lies, and it affected me so much that I had to leave the country for 5 years. I had to go work in Mexico. I had to reestablish myself. I had to do all of this stuff because of some things that people said that, according to her, I mean, just not true, or are they true? She never really comes out and addresses it. She just runs away from the problem and then comes back, and then she wants people to just forgive and forget. I see some of her supporters out there saying certain things about, well, it's been long enough. We should just get past it. I am definitely willing to get past it. But let's keep going for a second, though.
A lot of people were fed a story from someone that's no longer with the company that's completely not true and completely manipulated into something that it wasn't. And now the conversations that I need to have or feel that I need to have, I'm having them. And because there's a lot of one-sided things out in the public, and my side has never really been told.
The things are one-sided, and her side has never been told because she never told her side. When someone comes out and makes these kind of claims about you, and then multiple people have come out to confirm these things that were said about you, you say nothing, and then you leave. What is everyone supposed to think? What is everyone supposed to think? You are a public figure. What people think about you actually matters. So if it's all a lie, you would catch me front and center defending my credibility if I didn't do the things that I am being accused of.
My side of things has never really been shared with a lot of these people. When I left wrestling for around 3 years, I was in a mental state where I didn't want to see a wrestling ring. I didn't want to talk about wrestling. I didn't want to see anyone that had to do with the wrestling world. I completely cut it off.
But why? Why is that? Because someone completely fabricated a whole bunch of lies against you and you left the country? They completely made it all up. Now, she did say, and I think it's a little bit later, she did say that it wasn't all true. What parts were true exactly? Because there's some pretty horrible things being said about you. What is the 20%? What parts are true versus the parts that are not? I'd be so interested to hear what that part is.
Deleted certain social medias, and that were just bad because I was getting flooded with messages that, and my family as well, that no person or 14-year-old little sister should have to read. And it was just better for me to separate myself. I went back to college. I joined Army ROTC. I'm going after my global affairs degree now. And I know who I am without wrestling. And that's what I didn't know before, is everything in my life was wrestling. And so when you lose that thing that's absolutely everything to you, you better know who you are, because if you fall hard. And now I'm coming back. I know who Tessa is without wrestling. I'm an absolute force, but I'm a different woman. And so to answer your question, for anyone in the locker room, any fans who want to judge me or think that they know me or think that they know truths about a certain situation, that quite possibly people need to look at a situation and think, hey, maybe this could have been manipulated, or maybe something, like every reaction has a reaction. And I think a lot of things get turned into something that it's not.
Okay. So things were said and people believed it. And she claims that, well, why would you believe that without thinking, hey, maybe it's not true. Maybe, it's a reaction to something, is what she said. So what she is also insinuating that, yeah, maybe some of these things happen, but maybe there was a reason behind why it happened. I guess that's a maybe. I would be waiting for her to tell me what these reasons are. I would love to hear what happened for Tessa Blanchard to come out and say that Rosa is an N-word and then spit in her face. I would love to know what she did, because from all accounts, she's a very good person. Maybe something happened to make her do that. I don't know. I'm wondering if that's the case. But instead of getting a response to that, she left and then came back and then hoped everyone forgot.
And for me, it's easier to just let people think what they think than to defend myself at times, which maybe isn't the best answer, and maybe I haven't always made the right decisions. But hey, that's the way it was at the time. That's the way my head was at the time, and we move on from there.
That's the way that she felt about it at the time, and she wants to move on from there. If that's how she felt at the time, then that is how she felt at the time. That is her right to feel that way. If she wants to just leave pro wrestling or leave the country and go wrestle in Mexico, that is also her priority.
But as far as the locker room, there's a lot of people who have never had an experience with me. It's a whole different company now. And this was around 4 or 5 years ago that I was even in Impact. So I think that you're not the same person you were a few months ago. You're not the same person you were a year ago. And hell, all of these people are going to have to relearn who Tessa Blanchard is.
If you're not the same person that you were then, are you saying that you are different now, meaning you would not act the way that you did back then 5 years ago? Which means it leads me to believe that you did something 5 years ago that you would not do now because you've learned from an experience. That is what I took from what she just said right there.
And I'm okay with that. I'm no stranger to hard work. I've always said my last name, it doesn't really do much for me, because once you get in the ring, it doesn't take the bumps for you. It doesn't drive the miles for you. It doesn't pay the bills for you. It's your training and what you're able to do in there. I always heard it's who you know to get there and what you can do to stay there. And when I moved to Mexico to go into CMLL, it was the same story. I had to start over from scratch. I had to relearn a whole new style. I had to make new friends, and I had to completely redefine who Tessa Blanchard is. And that didn't scare me. Hard work doesn't scare me. Starting over from the ground and working up, that doesn't scare me. And I think that might intimidate a lot of people. So if someone's intimidated, sometimes it's easier to villainize a person. And that's okay with me. Whatever you or anyone else thinks about me, that has everything to do with you, but nothing to do with me.
Except the part where you are a public figure. What you do in that ring and on television, the fans dictate in one way or another. Every pro wrestler lives by the fans. Fans don't want anything to do with you. You're not going to make it in this business. Here's where I'm going with this. Tessa Blanchard has not, and apparently flat out refuses to apologize for her actions. Definitely not publicly. And I'm being told by some who would like to keep their identity out of this, that she has not apologized privately either. Now, my take is she made a mistake, okay? It's not the end of the world. Everyone makes mistakes. It happens. Maybe she got a little cocky. Maybe she thought she was like the big shit in the room at the time, everywhere she went. It got out of control. She realizes it. She went away. She humbled herself. All right? Came back a better person. I could see that. But the road to recovery begins with an apology, both publicly and privately. I see some of her supporters, for some reason, supporters of her, they think it should all go away because it's forgotten about. That kind of thing doesn't just go away. Ask Hogan. Now, for the sake of her locker room and her peers, the private apology is absolutely mandatory. All right? It's absolutely mandatory. It's just the negative attention that she brings to every promotion that she will walk into that affects other people that she has to work with. All right. Here's why I feel that she needs to issue a public apology. Like I said, she needs fan support. All right. There are fans out there who are very offended by her actions, even though she didn't spit on them. It's offensive. It is offensive. If I am sitting here, me, myself, a black male, am sitting here looking at a white person sit there and berate and talk badly and use racial slurs against another black person, and they weren't talking to me, I'm still offended. Okay? Now, for her supporters, this is where a public apology helps them. A public apology will help them help her. Because if she issues said public apology, and then her supporters want to say, hey, can we forgive and move on? Everyone deserves another chance. The woman made a mistake and she apologized. What more can she do? That is a fair comeback. That is a very fair comeback. Because if someone else had said, well, I hate her, I can't stand her, she did this, and she sucks because she did that, and her defenders want to say, it was bad, she shouldn't have done it, I think she learned from her mistakes, and she did apologize publicly, let's move on from this and make sure she never does it again. She will not give them that ammo. So when I hear someone say, oh, let's forget about it and move on, I'm like, no, maybe you were not offended by these reports, but I was. Maybe another woman was. Maybe another black woman was. Maybe another black person was. So to just forgive and forget, no, thank you. The road to redemption begins with the apology, okay? There is no other way. Otherwise, you're going to get what you got last night and people chanting, not boo because you're a heel. Do you want the crowd chanting, she's a racist, while you wrestle a woman who was married to a black man? I just saw footage of Jordan Grace saying goodbye to TNA as she takes her journey to WWE. I hope she has a fantastic career. I think WWE has just gotten better because of adding Jordan Grace. She is phenomenal at what she does, and she's a true professional, proven by the fact that she did that match last night with Tessa Blanchard. But in the clip that I saw, she gave hugs and everything else to say goodbye and completely walked right by Tessa Blanchard, who was standing there clapping and applauding like everyone else. How do you think Jordan Grace feels? How do you think Jordan Grace feels about what Tessa Blanchard has said and done about black people while her husband, a black man in this business, sits right there backstage? She still went out and did business the right way. Not to mention what Tessa Blanchard did with the Impact title when she left and took it to Mexico and didn't want to return it. That was very unprofessional as well. What did Jordan Grace do? She did what was asked of her, despite not wanting to do it, because she's a damn professional. Tessa Blanchard needs to stop playing victim, apologize for the things that she have done wrong. Now, I'm willing to toss her a bone here. I'll give her the little bit of the benefit of a doubt. Does this mean that everything that's being said about her is absolutely 100% true? No, I don't believe that it is. But until she finds it within herself to come out and tell us exactly what is true and what is not true, it leaves us to believe that it was all true. Come out, tell your side of the story, what happened and why it happened. You feel bad about what you did. Tell us what you should not have done and that you did do. that you're sorry for it, you learn from it, and you won't do it again, so you can go back to work. Fine. Done. Everyone deserves a second chance. That's what I'm hearing her supporters saying. I agree. But that second chance is not just given or granted to you. It's a road, it's a process that she needs to go down. That road does not even open up to her until she decides to publicly apologize. That's my take on it. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I understand this is a heated subject. Some people might feel very passionately about it. Some might not care. Either way, I really wonder what you guys think about it after hearing my take on it. I don't think it's anything that can't be fixed, but I'm not trying to fix anything for anyone who doesn't even feel bad about what she did and won't take ownership for it. Maybe that's just me. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me and hanging out. I appreciate you guys so much. Remember, please leave a comment. Please subscribe and hit that like button. Let's try to get us to 9,000 subscribers. My name is Jesse, a.k.a. your very own one and only Chi-Town Smart, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.